You have to win for yourself.
You need to be a little badass at least.
You go out there and you show your attitude out on court against your opponent. As a female athlete, that we can do anything and we can achieve everything.
The noises are going to bring you down and create pressure on you, but the voices are the ones which are going to guide you how to handle it.
Pressure is a privilege, and we are in that position because we have achieved something, so we should take it like that. When we win, we celebrate, but we know we have bigger things to achieve tomorrow. New tennis was my calling. I didn't know where it would take me.
Maybe it was my DNA from my dad, because he was also like driver like me, but I'm better, so.
Because just like Atiqa, I was trying to achieve things that had never been done before.
Beyond the Podium is where we hear directly from the athletes who've not just competed but conquered, who've not just played but paved the way. And leading this discussion is one of the most iconic voices in Indian sports journalism, a fierce advocate for athletes, a brilliant writer, and someone who's inspired an entire generation. Let's give it up for Sharda Ugra.
Hello. They make me stand on this stage, which I really don't need to. Anyhow. Good evening. Thank you for being seated while we were waiting for you to be seated. Thank you. What an absolute joy it is to be here talking to a bunch of athletes extraordinaire. Each is a woman exemplar in their own right. They are leaders, path breakers, generators of trends, and builders of legacies. They are also movers and shakers of the sporting futures for Indian women. Let me start with an athlete whose career, I have to confess, was not even imagined by me when I started out as a sports journalist in the dark ages, middle ages, faraway past, which was the early 1990s. India's first female Olympic silver medalist, a double Olympic medalist, a world champion, all in the same person. No chance, that is not even possible. But the absolutely incredible PV Sindhu made it happen. Please show your appreciation for her. Now let me take you back about 20 years ago when Indian women athletes were meant to be seen, but most definitely not heard. They stayed in their lane, they kept their head down, and they wore these, baggy, billowing clothes. And then she turned up, hitting the tennis ball as hard as nobody, as we had seen do from India, with power and confidence. She also hit a few headlines with the T-shirts that she wore. One of them said, "I'm cute, no shit." The other said, "You can either agree with me or be wrong." She was ranked amongst the world's top 30 in singles, won 6 Grand Slam doubles titles, and was world number 1 in doubles as well. I call her Indian sports alpha female and a true leader for our sport in the 21st century. Please welcome the always fabulous Sania Mirza. We are now moving into the most inspirational territory in world sport, athletes of different abilities and unshakable will, whom we call para-athletes and Paralympians. In London 2012, India won a single medal at the Paralympics. In Paris 2024, we have 29. Our next guest is one of the foremost figures of this revolution and an example of what can be done. She is India's first woman Paralympic medalist who brought national focus to the lives of athletes which had until then been invisible and unnoticed. She also became the first woman president of the Paralympic Committee of India, and she's now a representative for South Asia in the Asian Paralympic Committee. Let's put our hands together for the still unstoppable Deepa Malik. We are now going to step away from ourselves and from this time and take a look at the future of Indian women's sport as to what it could be like 10 or 15 years from now. Our final guest today is the first female driver ever from any country to win a race at the prestigious Rotax Max Challenge International Trophy, a karting event held to discover the best young drivers in the world. Her victory at the famed Le Mans circuit in France is called a historic moment for Indian motorsports and female karting. She's the first Indian and also the first Asian female driver to be selected for the Formula One Academy's Discover Your Drive development program. This program is set up to unearth and promote female participation in motorsport on the track, on the grid, in the pit lane. At one point, she has said, the straight and narrow road is so boring. She's all of 10 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give your biggest Mumbai welcome to the totally amazing Atiqa Mir. Welcome, Sindhu, Sania, Deepa, and Atiqa. I must also tell you and this fabulous, gorgeous, beautiful audience here, there's a very special group amongst us as well of 36 women athletes from across disciplines: combat sports, swimming, parasports, hockey, football, cricket, gymnastics, and motorsport. Each of them are champions in their own field, and in many ways, they are successor to the legacies that you have created. Let's welcome them and acknowledge their lives. I would like them to stand up, please, all of them together. And among them are Deepa Karmakar, all of them. I can't see you standing. Everyone stand up. Can we have a light on the athletes, please? Among them, Deepa Karmakar, Aditi Chauhan, Linthoy Chanambam, Anjali Sarvani, Poonam Rao, Diskit Angmo, Ansi Sojan, and many other champions in the making. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, now we'll just start out on a conversation. It'll take us about half an hour, and I'm going to start with you right at the end, Atiqa. Let me ask you the most obvious question, yeah? You've said that your biggest dream is not just to only be the first female Formula One driver in the 21st century. You want to be champion. Why do you think you can do it?
I think I can do it because females can do anything. I don't think anything is stopping them from being the greatest in the world in anything. So anything is possible. They just need to be hardworking, determined, and they have to persevere in life when things are not working.
Deepa said it. Deepa's saying she said it all. It's a wrap. Let's all go home. It's done. Yeah. I just want to ask both Sindhu and Sania. I'll start with you, Sindhu. What was it like when you were Atiqa's age? What do you remember of that time?
Well, a very good evening to everyone. I mean, I started at the age of 8. I mean, when I was her age, I think it was just that, I mean, it was like, okay, let me just start off for fun, and that is it. I mean, whatever she said, I mean, even now people are like, okay, we need to work hard. Back then, when I was her age, it was nothing like that, but it was more like, you know, let's see where it goes. And it was just for fun we initially started off.
And what about you, Sania? What do you remember of Sania, age 10?
Well, I remember not being this confident, I'll tell you that. But good evening, everyone. What a pleasure to be amongst sports lovers and sports people, and some great champions and future champions. And we had a whole discussion about calling her ma'am or auntie, and then we decided to call her ma'am. Even though she's 20 years older than me, but she insisted I call her ma'am. So ma'am and you. For me, being 10 years old, I knew somewhere that this is what I wanted in my life. I knew tennis was my calling. I didn't know where it would take me, because just like Atiqa, I was trying to achieve things that had never been done before. I remember my parents telling me that it's okay if it's okay if you lose a tennis match, we'll still get you ice cream, we still love you. That's where it was. But I knew in my heart I wanted to be number one in the world.
At the age of 10, that's pretty good.
I mean, it was a crazy dream, right? But it was a dream with your eyes open, I guess.
And Sindhu, at this time, you're seeing Atiqa's covered in international media. She's got an Instagram profile. Would you have liked to have started out now?
Well, I think back then when I was 10, there was, I think, no Instagram. And I mean, it was a different, I would say at that point of time, it was different. I mean, we didn't need so much of, social media. It was just like, okay, that time it was like Sports Star, when the Sports Star magazine, came out, we were like, oh, wow, we are on the cover picture, or we are in the magazine, there's one picture of us. So I think, that, at that point of time, it was like that. And that was like, it was great, an honor for us. But I think now, it is required. I mean, time changes everything, is what I feel. And when you ask me that if I could have been like now, I feel it's very different. And I mean, at that point of time, I think that, I felt it better. But I think things change, and, new things keep coming up, and time just changes and evolves. So,
What about you, Sania? Now?
Would I have liked
Like to have
social media?
started like playing now at this point in time in...
No, I preferred started playing when I started playing, because I feel that social media, when we started playing, and me and Sindhu obviously come from Hyderabad, I always used to joke that a lot of people said, you have such great sports people coming out of Hyderabad. It's a city of Nawabs where people still wake up at 11 o'clock in the morning to open their shops. And we used to always joke saying, the distractions in Hyderabad are much less than the distractions in the bigger cities. And I feel like, honestly, that was not a joke. Like, we used to be so focused on just trying to go play, win, practice 8 hours a day on the court. And I know we all had that journey. I preferred that. The need of the hour is different today. But I preferred a more silent, quiet, hardworking atmosphere, rather than showing that you're working hard every single day and saying, oh, okay, I'm going to the gym, I'm doing this, or whatever.
Deepa, let me ask you, we had a very interesting conversation back there about this social media and what it's done. And Deepa has a very original view, because not only is she a competitor, she's an administrator and a policy maker. So I wanted to ask you about this time that you have crossed over from athletics and competing to administration, with reference to social media, what's happening. Is it actually filling some gaps that need to be filled in women's power sports? How do you see it?
It has definitely added to the awareness. So much that when I was the president of the Paralympic Committee, and we were preparing during the COVID times for the Tokyo Paralympics, and followed by the Asian Para Games, which got delayed by a year. One thing that I brought to the table was creating social media handles for the Paralympic Committee. And thanks to stakeholders, Miraki, Go Sports, they had started encouraging, I'm alumni of theirs, and they taught us that how important it was. And I felt that, yes, social media can create awareness. I encouraged the committee also to start social media, which of course had a lot of resistance. They thought that I'm creating it to popularize myself. But eventually the federation realized, when our federation won the Asian Order of Merit for the best promotion of parasports, because once in India someone won a medal, they were getting 6 million hits per story which was being posted. So that is a revolution which it brought. But then everything has two sides. There are two sides of the coin. And we were just like we were discussing, and I was talking to Sania also. But as an administrator, as a motherly figure, as somebody who people look up to, and children come and talk to you, some of the athletes would say, it's just very heartbreaking when some of the athletes say, Madam, I said, you won a gold, which is so amazing. You know, that is something which I always aspired to win at the Paralympics. I just could reach a silver. जैसे मैडम कोई फ़ायदा नहीं, आपका सिल्वर बड़ा था, उसका सिल्वर बड़ा था, हमारा गोल्ड इतना बड़ा नहीं है. I said, why? मैडम जो सोशल मीडिया पे वायरल हो गया उसका गोल्ड गोल्ड, हमारा गोल्ड गोल्ड नहीं. So somewhere it also kind of, disheartens some athletes who have not made it as big or have not gone as viral. But again, the answer which I heard from Sania back in the green room was really amazing. And she said, no, but you must tell them that they are not playing for the world. They are playing for the love of the sport. They are playing for their country, and that is what matters the most. And that is what I think we need to nurture. Social media, very good for inspiration, awareness, sharing of information.
Content was said to be
Content,
a factor
yes.
in the poll
but
that we saw.
whatever you do when you play, you actually become a better version of yourself. You play for your own fitness. You change narratives in the society when a person with disability is playing. And that itself is a huge win.
Sindhu, I want to ask you, you've been playing competitive badminton now for more than 15 years. When you began, who were your female role models?
I think for me, of course, in tennis, I watched Serena, I mean, as a mother, and I think she's done a lot for herself. And I think apart from that, of course, Sania was always a senior to me, and she's done really well. I remember, when she won the Wimbledon, I think we all were like, wow, at that point of time, they were like, where is this going? What are female athletes doing? And, men are like, okay, men are doing everything. But when something like this happened where Sania actually won the Wimbledon, I remember seeing on the social media that, yes, she could do it and every athlete, every female could do it. I think that is something we need to know, that as a female athlete, that we can do anything and we can achieve everything. And I think we need to be proud about ourselves, not that, we are competing against the male athletes, but I think we ourselves need to have that belief that, we can achieve anything and we can go out there and be on the world map. And I think the last Olympics before that, I mean, in every sport, I think females have been doing really well and they kept getting medals for us. So we need to be proud about that.
If I asked you, you are now a role model for younger women yourselves. Are these the qualities you'd want to sort of spread, talk about, emphasize about being proud, about being confident, strong?
I think that's always required and that's always needed for every athlete and every female athlete, because, initially when any athlete starts sport, it's more that, everybody expects them to win or get medals for the country. I think more importantly, success might come at a very early age or it might take time. But I think the most important thing is, you need to love playing sport. It's not just you're just playing for someone else. You're playing for yourself, and you need to love sport, as they mentioned. You need to have that love towards sport. And more importantly, I think to the younger generation out there, I would just want to say that, you need to have a dream and you need to follow your goal no matter what, and you need to enjoy in what you do. That's the most important thing. It's not just that you keep playing sport and you're like, okay, somebody's pushing me to play it and I'm just playing for the sake of it. That shouldn't be there.
So let me ask someone who's just started out, or 5 years or 6 years, Atiqa. Your dad says that he didn't push you into, he's here in the audience with your mom as well. He didn't push you into motor racing. You are the one you liked it. You took to motor racing. So what is it that you liked about cars and motorsport? Was it speed? What was it? The helmets, the uniform, the sound, what was it?
I think I actually didn't really like the sound, because when I was small, whenever I used to hear the sounds, I used to put my fingers in my ears or run away because they were so loud. But I actually like the speed of it, and I just liked it, and I still have the cars in my room till today. But it's just that I don't really play with it as often because I'm growing older and I don't really stay that much in Dubai now. I go to Europe.
Please don't say you're growing older. Do us one favor on this panel. Don't say you're growing older.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I just like them because like maybe it was my DNA from my dad, because he was also like a driver like me, but I'm better. So
Atiqa's dad was India's first national karting champion. He's in the room. Congratulations for that. Well done. Anything else?
no, that's okay. Yeah.
Sania, I wanted to ask you, you play tennis, which is the single most powerful, biggest individual women's sport in the world. What can women's sport as a whole learn from how the WTA promotes tennis, markets tennis? How have they handled it?
Well, I think it honestly depends. Yeah, it is possibly the most global sport, to be fair, because of the amount of people and the amount of countries that possibly play it. And even if people don't really understand or know tennis or have never seen a tennis court before, if I ask them, do you know Serena Williams? The answer will probably be yes. Do you know Steffi Graf? The answer will probably be yes. That doesn't really happen in too many sports. I think that the physical ability that female athletes bring to it is appreciated and has been appreciated for many, many years. It is a pretty old sport as well. I think there's so much of history behind it with Billie Jean King, coming out of playing for $1, over 50 years ago, to now having equal prize money with the men in Grand Slams. I think that is a huge factor, because I feel that when we talk about female sports or women's sports, what do we talk about? We don't talk about, oh my God, we're as strong as you and you can do 500 push-ups and we can do 550. We all know that's not possible. We talk about equal opportunity. We talk about having equal opportunity. And I think tennis is providing that. I don't think there are too many sports that can boast about that, where they can go and say that there are the biggest tournaments of the year and everybody makes, man or woman, $3 million to win it. There's not too many people who can say it, not too many sports who say that. They market it really well. I feel that different personalities are really shown and shine in tennis because of the individualism that is attached to it. And also I just feel TV. TV is a huge thing with tennis, and people, whether they watch tennis or don't, they know what Wimbledon is. They'll probably tune into a Wimbledon final, whether they like watching it or not. And I don't know too many sports that people would do that to unless there is a home favorite playing, So I think that they do a really good job. They put a lot of money into, and they pump a lot of money into promoting female athletes. Not at par yet, but close to the men. Because at Roland Garros, if it was at par at Roland Garros, we wouldn't be fighting to still say you haven't played a night match. But we try. And I think that's what they do really, really well. And it helps that we've got superstars that come out of tennis, right? That does happen very often. From Martina Navratilova to Billie Jean King to Steffi Graf to Serena Williams to Maria Sharapova. Even somebody like Anna Kournikova, who everybody thinks has not won anything, but she was #1 in the world in doubles and #4 in singles. And it's such a misconception that she hasn't won anything because she looked good. But it's not her fault. She looked that pretty. But the fact is that, we are possibly the only sport that have individual superstars that come out of it, whether they win or not.
Deepa, because you're an administrator and you've seen the insides in Indian sports administration is the topic for another seminar for 8 hours, but not today. Do you believe that men's and women's sport needs to be run separately? Maybe one federation, but separate departments, that every sport needs to have a female department. I mean, the BCCI doesn't have a women's department. So do you think that you need a department to run the women's side of a sport differently, or just to give space to them a little bit?
No, it is definitely that Women in Sports Committee is a very integral part of every sporting federation. We do have that. Even in the Asian Paralympic Committee, we have a specific Women in Sports Committee. So there is a strong focus out there. But I would probably...
Should it transfer to other sports as well? As in across the board, is it what is necessary?
But what I would say that I would still be a fan of an integrated ecosystem, because yes, it is good to focus on women's sports and like seminars like today when we are celebrating women achievers and sports, and we encourage more and more women to come out. But I feel that when the ecosystem is playing together and everybody has access to equal resources, equal opportunities, and so that sets the narrative right. And we have a healthier participation and understanding of the needs of every gender, because the policymakers, the administrators, they are from both the genders. And when the ecosystem is inclusive, I feel there's a better understanding of tailoring the needs of an individual, whether man or a woman. And also, especially for the disability sports, that I say that there are so many times. For example, I played 17 years, and for me, for my transfers, because when I'm playing and competing, I have to transfer to the throw frame. For that, I need a competition partner who can lift me. Now, if I stand up, I'm 5'9", I'm probably 80 kilos. And it is easier for a big-built man to pick me up and put me and strap me up, because that's a very integral part of my competition. If I'm not transferred in the given time, belted up in the given time, and with proper tightening of the belts, I may end up creating a foul in my technical part of the throw. So when you are training, you have to train with a male partner. Same thing happens. We've heard Simran has done so well. She's a visually impaired track runner, Paralympic medalist. But her competition partner, her co-runner, the one who guide runner that we call, is a male. And till we actually have enough coaches, referees, physiotherapists, scientists, researchers, nutritionists, mental trainers, enough strength of women coaching women. I think if making it an exclusive corner would be not getting access to the right knowledge and the right information, which more experienced men in the field already have. So when we come together, there is a better exchange of knowledge, but to give them a safe environment, an environment where they can share their fears, their anxieties. We do have committees. There is a legal committee in place. There is a women in sport committee in place where they can present their this thing. So I think that is what I would feel.
Atiqa, motorsport is a mixed gender sport that is physical, and you're most of the time competing with the boys. So again, I was chatting with her. I said, "Is it the time that you've pushed guys off the track?" She said, "Yeah, because they do it all the time to us." So when do you remember your first crash and what your response was to it? Someone tried to push you off the track. Do you remember what it was like? What did it feel like? Did you get angry? Did you want to just do something bad?
I don't remember my first crash, but I have many crashes. So, like one of the crashes, like I don't want to really say a situation. I want to say like, if it was my fault, then I need to learn from it. Then I need to fix it the next race. But if it wasn't my fault, then I don't put too much pressure on myself, because racing is racing and you can crash in it as well. So that's part of it too, and that's why people say motorsport is dangerous. So yeah, I think if I did something wrong, I can learn from it next time. And if I didn't, just keep going and forget about it.
And do people around you say it's a dangerous sport, you shouldn't be doing it, you're so small, why you in it? You know, not your family, but just around, you'll hear people saying that. Do you hear that? What do you say to them? Be careful, they'll tell you stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, like motorsports is a dangerous sport, but you have like enough protection around you to protect yourself in case of a crash. And if like very rarely some injuries happen, like if it's a really bad crash, then yeah. But most of the time, no. And when people tell me like it's not made for you, like you're a girl, you're so small, then I say like I'm not that small, like because there's other people around the same age as me or younger driving as well. But in general life, I am pretty small.
Pretty small but pretty tough. I want to ask Sania and Sindhu, both of you, the same question. I'll start with you, Sania. Does it matter how Indian women are represented in the public sphere, in sport, Indian women athletes? I'm asking because usually you get Bharat Ki Beti and, you know, the girl fighting for the country. You don't really get a representation of the strength and the power of women. This is my view. You'll probably say, Auntie, you're wrong. And you don't get a fair, and this is all for everyone in advertising who's here, who's paying attention, is that you don't get a fair explanation or a deep dive into the skill that is involved in what you do. So do you think that matters, or you're just saying it's fine, they're paying us attention?
Well, to answer your question in short, are we living in a man's world? The answer is yes. Are we living in a man's world when it comes to sport? Yes, the answer is yes. Are we living in a man's world, or are we living in a cricket's world when it comes to this country? The answer is yes. So the fact is that as female representation, I think the onus is also on us, how we represent ourselves, how we are actually showing the world. You know, we like world beaters in this part of the world, but we don't want them to act like world beaters. We still want them to act like they are bichare. So if you act like a world beater, they're like, arey, they have attitude and they're arrogant. But if then you are acting like, oh, you're bichare, then they
Good
say,
girl.
no, good girl or whatever, then they say, oh, you don't have killer instinct. So there's no winning that. So in short, you don't do anything for other people, you do it for yourself. So I don't actually care how other people represent me, I care how I represent myself. And the onus is on me to actually have that killer instinct or have that attitude but do whatever it takes to represent myself in the best way possible and to win. Because in the end, if you don't win, it's not going to matter. So you can represent as much as you want, but you're still going to have to win. And so everything goes hand in hand. When it comes to where we are today, from where I started, because I'm a bit older than Sindhu, I started when I was 6, I'm 38 now. It was over 32 years ago, playing tennis on courts made out of cow dung and having tetanus injections to just go and actually practice because there was nothing else to do. From there to only having the only female superstar that I had from India was PT Usha. And that was somebody we just heard of. We never saw because there was no social media, there was no media, or there was no coverage. To be very honest, we just heard of her. To today, saying that when we go to Olympics or outside of probably 3 or 4 male cricketers, the biggest superstars from this country in sport are female athletes. And that says a lot over the last 30 years to where we've come.
Sindhu, what about you? Do you think it's important on how your sport and you are represented, or
Of
good
course.
girls and all the rest of it? You know, because I mean, you guys are serious athletes. We've seen you screaming on the badminton court, so we know. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I think I agree to Sania. What she said was, you know, at the end of the day, it's us how we represent, and when you lose, when social media was right there, you know, when you lose, you know, they take you there, and when you win, they keep you at like cloud 9. So, you know, you don't have to actually bother or feel bad about what they think, but it's what you think, and what matters is, you know, how are you feeling at the end of the day? Because if you actually think about what others are thinking, I think that will really, take you somewhere that, you know, you can't even imagine, because it breaks you at the end of the day. And that's where, you know, the mental health starts, and, you know, you actually go into a circle where, you know, you don't know what's going on. But I think it's very important to understand how you want to show yourself out there, because some days are good and some days are bad. Some days you are excellent and some days you're like, people say you that, like, what is she actually playing? Like, you know, does she even know how to play, or how can she lose, or, you know, what is she doing? So I think, it's how you feel and what you do on court, because at the end of the day, as she said, you have to represent yourself and you have to win for yourself, either it be a good girl or you go out there and you show your attitude out there on court against your opponent.
You mentioned some t-shirts. There was a t-shirt that said that good girls rarely make history. And the fact
my
is that
favorite
I'm not
Sania
saying be
t-shirt.
a bad girl. But it's okay to be a little bad. You need to be a little badass at least.
I think it's a little different for a para athlete when playing, especially a woman in disability when she plays. She definitely changes the narrative. She's not just playing for herself. She changes the entire narrative around disability. She highlights abilities beyond disabilities, and that is something very important because 80% of my women para-athletes come from the rural background. And even if one village has one para-athlete who's taken that flight of confidence, left their home despite severe disability, gone and played and changed her identity from an apang, apahej, or dependent, or sad, bichari, kisi kaam ki nahi hai, bojha hai, to then wearing a national track suit, taking a flight. This is probably one of the only women who's going abroad from the village despite being disabled and representing India, holding the tricolor. So there is a mind shift in the whole society, in their thought process. So a para athlete when plays, I think that's adds to that whole spirit of sports in changing mindsets towards a positive narration around abilities beyond disabilities. So that definitely makes a lot of difference. And sports been a great medium from my personal experience. You asked her what was she feeling, both of them at 10. At 10, I was recovering, learning to walk again from my childhood tumor and paralysis, and reading a chapter on Nadia Comaneci in my 5th grade Hindi book, where a young little girl, 13, 14-year-old, won a perfect 10 in gymnastics. And suddenly, a girl who had not walked for 4-5 years stood up on a dining table and raised her legs and tried to pretend winning a medal. Well, manifestations and role models in women in disability are so, role models for women in sports is so important. That little manifestation of a young girl at 10 turned out for me to then at 46 win an Olympic level medal and then have Nadia Comaneci present at one of the awards functions to hand over the trophy to me so many years later. And,
what a beautiful story.
And it just goes a little beyond that because while my tumors came back the second time and I was totally bedridden and paralyzed, I was also bringing up a daughter in disability because my elder daughter had met with an accident, head injury, left the left of her body paralyzed. So when my daughter was 10, I was encouraging her to play sports. And one fine day, we both are playing in the same international events, winning medals for the country.
Wonderful. We've just got a thing saying time's up, but I'm sure we can have a little bit extra of the conversation. I did get 3 questions in. So Atiqa asked me, it says you've got these questions. Are you sure you'll be able to ask that many? So I said, no, I did get a few questions in. Atiqa, do you have any questions to ask anyone on the panel?
So I want to ask all 3 of you a question. So how do you handle pressure, like, for example, in tennis, like for Sania, like when you have to, like if you win the match, then you win the championship, how do you handle that?
She's so cool. She's so cool.
She's the coolest person in the room.
She's really cool. She's really cool. You're very cool. I think that as, I don't want to make it very serious, but every day is a new day. Whether you win or whether you lose, you have to enjoy that success, not take it as pressure. Pressure is a privilege, and we are in that position because we have achieved something, so we should take it like that. When we win, we celebrate, but we know we have bigger things to achieve tomorrow. So until you feel like that, you got to keep going. And the day you don't feel like that, you got to stop. You're a long way away from that. Long way away from that. So that's the alien thought to you, but keep going and never be content until you feel. Never be content with that victory because, you know, the sky is the limit, like you said yourself.
Yeah.
I can give you a very small mantra, which my mental trainer said, because I was training for an Olympic level event at the age of 46, continued to play till 49 years of age as an active athlete. And people do send doubts in your mind. So my trainer taught me one thing: differentiate between the noises and the voices. The noises are going to bring you down and create pressure on you, but the voices are the ones which are going to guide you how to handle it. So learn to filter the thoughts or the comments, and when you have learned to do that, you will be able to handle that situation.
Sindhu,
I think I obviously don't want to tell you so much, but and they've already told. But the only thing is, you know, whatever you're doing, just enjoy it. I know there's already too much pressure in terms of you, you know, people come and, you know, crashing you, or, you know, you telling people that it's okay, just move on. I think it's the same way in life as well. Whatever happens, no matter what, you win or you lose, you perform or you don't, you just have to move on and just keep looking forward for the next one.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
We're not going to let them off the stage yet. The athletes in the room do they get to ask them a question? Does anyone have a question? Please raise your hand and ask these 4 incredible athletes on this table. Yup.
Hi, I'm Riya Sachdeva. I am also a lawn tennis player. So actually my question is to you only that, like, when you're not performing, like if you are transitioning your game from juniors to women's, so how do you handle the pressure? Like, there are losses in that process because the juniors game and the women's game is a lot different. So there must be some changes you had to make in your game. So how did you handle the losses, if there were any?
She
Because
was
I
very
have faced-
kick-ass as a junior, but okay.
No, I was, but not that kick-ass. First of all, you have to understand that as athletes, and I think everybody is sitting here, especially, I mean, she's a bit young, but the 3 of us will tell you that before you start winning, you lose a lot. Yes. You lose a lot. You lose until you don't lose anymore. So that is the nature of the beast. That is sport. That is how it is. When you're making transitions to your game, when you're making changes to your game, it's not the result that matters, it's actually what you're working on. So I think pressure may not be the right word, it's more to do with the actual belief in your ability and saying that trusting the journey, right? I mean, we hear that line so much. You have to trust the journey, you have to trust that what you're doing is going to make you better tomorrow. And a few losses along the way are not going to make or break you in that very moment.
I think there's one more question. Aditi is here, goalkeeper with the Indian team.
Yes. First of all, thank you for coming on the stage. It's a pleasure to hear all of you, especially Sania, you are someone that I've looked up to. But here's the question for all 3 of you. I know you're a little young to answer this, but to all 3 of you. As someone who's been a trailblazer in Indian sports, what do you think is the biggest shift still needed to make women's sport more mainstream in India? I know you're playing multiple roles now that you've retired. I know PV Sindhu's starting her own academy as well. So what do you still feel with your experience, India and international, that still needs that shift for women's sport to become mainstream?
So I think that we can all agree we've become better. Having said that, do we still have a way to go? 100%. I think that that's where media comes into play. That's where television comes into play. I mean, I think WPL is a great example because of the way 3 years ago or 2 years ago when it started, I mean, I just feel there's so much more women's cricket that we see today, right? And 10 years ago, I mean, could we ever think of naming people, multiple people in a team that were household names? That wouldn't happen. And TV did that. Finances did that. Corporates did that. It's the belief in female athletes that needs to go a long way. So I wish there was one secret to it. There isn't. There are many, many levels to it. But I definitely think media, TV, a lot of corporate sponsors, people like us trying to put things together for the future of this country in different sports, and us trying to help that happen. And mentorship, I think that's something that will make a difference. And viewership. You know, we've got how many sports channels? 15? How many show cricket? Men's cricket? 14? So, you know, I mean, give us 3, 4. It's okay. Don't give us more. Just give us 3, 4 more, you know. So I just feel that there's a bunch of things that needs to come together, in my opinion. I mean, PV, you want to?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, sport, I mean, especially women, there's been a lot of change. Initially, it was not so much, there was no much of recognition, but I think now there's a lot more. And apart from that, I feel there need to be a lot of support from the sponsors. Of course, there has been, like, for example, from Go Sports, OGQ, and also from the government. But I think that can increase where, you know, they actually support from the grassroots levels. And that's very important, not just the elite athletes, but I think from the grassroots levels, I think that support needs to be there. Because, you know, when you're elite and when you're doing well, when you're at the top, everything is going to be fine. But to recognize those young athletes from the grassroots levels is very important. And to groom them and also make sure they're going in a right way and guide them in a right way, I think that needs to improve a lot more. I'm sure there are a lot of youngsters here who are actually coming up. I think this is for them where, you know, they work hard. But I think with that support, I think there will be a lot more medals, I would say. And I think apart from that, I think, of course, I'm also doing an academy. And I think for me, I want to say that, you know, sport has taught me a lot more. And I think now it's time, sport has given me a lot more. And I think now it's time to give back to the sport. And definitely I would do my best. And mentorship, I think from my experiences, I would actually tell the young athletes, like, what are my experiences, so that, you know, they actually understand and, you know, go in a right way. I feel that will definitely change.
Deepa?
See, in my point of view, they rightly said, "Jo dikta hai, wo bikta hai." So the more we will be seen, the more interest will be generated. There will be more viewership. We have already spoken about that. But I think being a parent and being in a leadership role, I would also encourage, because it's a simple fact that our wins in sports do not depend on the population of a country. Our wins in sports depends on the playing population of the country. How many women are actually coming out and playing? And so we have to encourage more and more girls to come out and play, choose different sports. And also number of sports have to increase. And when I speak from the point of view of para sports. We need the infrastructure to grow. We need more hostel facilities for women to come and stay with their attendants because they are in disability. We need more academies for us. Government has really taken an initiative in past 10 years to make the policies inclusive, to create infrastructure. Now we have come to a point where we are hosting international sports. We need more role models in women's sport. And I mean, you are witnessing, there's a young one coming up there. So we, as an ecosystem, women need to encourage more women to come out and play more sports and make them popular. That's what I would say.
So come out, come out and play. Please give a massive round of applause
And
round of
can I,
applause for our fantastic panel here.
So just take a
Sure, sure.
minute. Can I gift this little gift that I
Oh,
brought for my
absolutely, absolutely.
co-panelist? In the 25th year of my living on this wheelchair, I don't call it a wheelchair, I have written about all the silver linings that I have found in the clouds of adversity. And having found those silver linings through the medium of sports, I was able to make that silver medal for my country, which changed the narrative of women in para sports. So here's my autobiography, which I have written, and I would like to gift each one of you a copy. That's
Thank you so much. Thank you.
that's one for you. And one for you.
Just before applause, please, everybody.
Just one.
Little energy. Can we have some energy from the audience?
Thank you.
Just before we let them go and I hand over to Surbhi, I just like our fantastic panel to stay on the stage because she has something very intriguing to lead us for. You've been a great audience. I wish you'd clap louder. Do try. Thank you very much. Thanks so much, Atiqa, Sindhu, Deepa, and Sania. That was fantastic. I could have kept talking for another hour, but they stopped me. Thank you.